Hey, folks, welcome to Bites and Cents. I am glad that you were able to stay seated and welcome you all. So, I just came on here and I'm going to really try to make this video brief because I want to work on doing another video. But I briefly came on because I'm sure, as most of you sports fans know, I want to talk briefly about Sunday night's game between the Detroit Lions and Green Bay. Honest, I'm going to be real. I didn't come on here to talk about the game. The real reason why I came on here was to brag about the Detroit Lions, my hometown, Detroit, beating Green Bay. Yes, Detroit beat Green Bay not once, but twice this season. That's right, twice. And this time they beat them in their home field, Lambda New Field, the infamous stadium, if you will, where they get really loud and rowdy. But yes, Detroit, that's with two E's and two O's. That's how we say it back home. But anyway, yeah, we beat them. And not even the Bears could have done that. They didn't do that. But Detroit did. And Detroit came a long way from earlier in the season. You know, they first started off really, but towards later in the season, and possibly too late, but that's okay because they're a young team and they're going to grow. They started winning games to the point of they actually made it to the playoffs. So they knocked out Green Bay. Green Bay is out of the playoffs and Detroit Lions are in. Now, did Detroit Lions really care about getting in the playoffs? I really don't think so because I think they're at a not an 8-8, but I think a 9-8. So I think it was just more so of getting at Green Bay, and you know, they won. So, but the other thing I want to come on here and talk about, which I'm sure most people know by now, is Quay Walker being ejected from the game. For pushing a Detroit Lions player. Now, let me see if I can go here and show you all what this push was about. Now, but before I make this play, you know, with him pushing a trainer, I honestly think that a couple of players could have been ejected from this game, quite honestly. I say that because Green Bay has always been kind of a dirty team to me. You know, they have a superiority complex, in my opinion, and they tend to go at other players as if they're just there's no sportsmanship behind it. It's just like there's a nastiness, a immaturity about it. It's not competitive. It's not a competitive spirit. It's more so of a nastiness, just kind of more vengeful, but not competitive. And I always felt that they were kind of dirty in some ways. Even whenever they play Chicago, they'll do dirty moves, dirty hits. And, you know, whenever you play at Lambda New Field, it seems like the referees are always in their corner. But, yeah. And not only that, but it may be time for Aaron Rodgers to just kind of hang it up, let the young guys take it on, and, you know, he may go on to be a commentator or whatever. But at this point, the Green Bay is out. They did okay last season, and this season it was just like they didn't even make it to a playoff. So I think it's just time to rebuild that team. But in any event, let me show you what I mean by the dirtiness of the players, because that wasn't the only dirty move. There was quite a few dirty moves on the field. Let me see if this will play here.
Season.
Somebody from the defensive interior, was that Jaron Reed,
flag
came
was
by.
thrown here too.
That is nasty.
Yeah, a flag was thrown at the back end. There's a conversation going on amongst the players out there, and I think I saw a flag thrown late in the pile there. Terry, what'd you see?
Clearly a forearm to the head, Mike. This is a foul for unnecessary roughness.
Don't know if that was the flag or there's a lot of jawing going on around Swift as the athletic training staff was looking at him.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 7 of the defense.
Oh.
Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
So that's on.
And what gets me about that is how the everyone in the stadium is booing against that. how do you boo against that? That it makes me wonder about the Green Bay fans. I mean, is it that they don't see, like, do they have a TV where they can't see, so they're not sure of what the call is or what the player's done until maybe afterwards when they get home? Or is it that they're just so competitive that they don't care? They just see it as it's a game, and it is a rough sport, so you have to take it as it is. It is a sport, and I think that, again, I've mentioned this before, but women who's interested in playing football, I just don't get. But anyway, but yeah, that's an example of the nastiness I'm referring to. And that guy just straight up elbowed him in the head. And that wasn't cool at all. But let me play what's the real talk have been all about. And that was Quay Walker pushing the trainer for the Detroit Lions. So let me see here. If I can actually find it. All right, so I got it here. And let me see.
Understand why they're upset now. Brad Rogers is coming over to explain it too.
Now watch this closely.
Matt LaFleur.
So the trainer basically is just trying to get in to give assistance to Swift.
He shoved him too.
And he didn't do anything except trying to wedge his way in there, which you have to do.
And then 95
And then Devontae.
But I thought this was kind of, I thought it was kind of funny, but in some ways I kind of, I shouldn't say liked it because, I don't advocate for violence, but I like how the trainer honestly responded. It wasn't like he didn't back away from the football player. I mean, these guys are big. They're incredibly strong. But this trainer, he kind of put both of them, like, look at both of them like, what the crap are you doing? And so let me see here. Take a look at just how he looks. I don't know. I just thought this was funny was how he looked at him.
And he didn't do anything except trying to wedge his way in there, which you have to do.
And then Devontae Wyatt came in and did the same thing. And he saw LaFleur tell him you got to be smart. And he told him twice, and we saw that. So
I don't know that coach. But I think something else to keep in mind about that play, that lack of sportsmanship is, considering the incident that happened with Damar Hamlin, and those trainers rushing out, and if those trainers wouldn't have gotten to, Damar in time, who knows? That's their job. A trainer's job is to go and immediately check on the health and the current state of the player at hand. And knowing the heightency of, the urgency with checking in on players, why would you shove the trainer? I mean, the thing is, it was like, what was the point of you even doing that? Maybe he felt, because it looked like the trainer brisked him, but he was, it was just more so just trying to get past him. And I guess he maybe felt offended by them and just shoved him just to let him know who he was. And then the other guy that shoved him in, the other trainer in the back, was kind of to reinforce what, Quay Walker, the push that Quay Walker did. And it's like, it was just pointless. But, when you're playing these games, there's emotions going all over the place. These are men, so men do process things differently. I'm sure athletes process things a lot differently, especially when they're in the heat of the moment and playing a game. They got blood flowing, but at some point you got to learn how to get control of it. Now, it is my understanding that, let's see here, Quay is a rookie. So he's a young player, and there's a lot of stuff that he needs to learn. But, his reaction after he got ejected, instantly I kind of thought, are you kidding me? Why are you acting that way? Like, he was whining to me. I'm like, well, you pushed a guy, and why are you surprised? Are you responding this way because you got caught, or you didn't agree with the call? And if it's either one, it's wrong because you're upset that you got caught doing it or you don't agree with the call. There's a problem with both. And so, when they showed the video
so meanwhile,
of
in this
him,
drive, Quay Walker,
running to the locker room and he's emotional and crying, I personally thought, you got to be freaking kidding me. Dude, why are you crying? But after I looked at it a couple of times, I actually felt bad. And I actually got a sense of, wasn't necessarily empathetic, but I felt sympathy for him. For some reason, I felt a sense of sadness, and I'm not sure why that was. Because looking at his reaction, at first I just thought, okay, pull up your big boy pants and go through. But honestly, I'm thinking, and I don't know, put it in the comments, particularly guys, what do you think? What was his emotional response really geared toward to? I know you're not going to know because, you're not there. You don't know him. You're not him. But I felt like his response was kind of like, dang, I did it again. Like, why do I keep messing up? It was almost self-deprecating, if you will. Let's take a look at this really quick. Let me see if I can, his emotional walk-off. Let's see if I can play it.
Meanwhile, in this drive, Quay Walker up the tunnel. Knows the emotion got the worst of him. For the second time this year on a Sunday night. As we mentioned, we saw it in Buffalo. The sideline personnel, players on the practice squad, not in uniform. Walker got involved with on the.
But it's more than just being mad at him. Like, he's
really
upset with himself.
Knows the emotion got the worst of him.
And I think
For the second time this year on a Sunday night. As we mentioned, we saw it in Buffalo. The sideline personnel, players on the practice squad, not in uniform. Walker got involved with on the side.
So, a couple of things. I felt like he was really upset with himself because he know him being ejected could possibly cost Green Bay the game. That would be the last game of the season. They are out the playoffs, so he cost the Green Bay Packers the game, basically. So he was upset with himself for that. He was upset with himself, but also, I don't know, I saw like a boy in him. And it was almost as if to say, why do I keep messing up? I don't know why. It's just like he has no control over it. He keeps making these mistakes. And so, I'm kind of a little more easy on him than I was originally. He's young, so he has a lot to learn. And being a rookie on the field, how to handle responses. And, that's a life learned thing just for all of us as adults. You could be in your 50s, 60s, 70s and still make mistakes. And I felt like his response was just something more than just the game. The disappointment. I don't know, maybe I'm looking into this too much. It's a female point of view. So I don't know. I would tend to see things a little different. But I think I also want to do a video on the state of black men. And the reason why I say that is because looking at his response, I've noticed quite a few videos, and I'm going to see if I can, put excerpts of clips together where I'm seeing really strong reactive responses from black males. And I don't know if this has kind of always happened and is just starting to come to light, which I'm pretty sure it is, but it's kind of been, it's been explosive. And I'm starting to wonder if there's just some sort of cry for help among black men in general. That's something I would dig deeper into in a future video. And I may have a guest on for that as well. So yeah, I kind of would just like to investigate more of, are black men going through something right now? What's going on? Because I've been seeing strong reactions, but, tears flowing and just kind of, it's like a cry for something, but I don't know, as, in our community, there's quite a bit of issues with the men and the women. And I think neither one gets heard in the right way. I feel like the same thing has been talked about, the issues within the Black community and among Black men and women for years, but it's the same conversation. There isn't anyone putting a different language to it. It's more. It could be more deeper, and it also could be more simpler. But I do think that as a community, we do have huge issues with vulnerability. That's for the men and the women. And I think once we begin to acknowledge that, the men and women can begin to get along more. Because right now, men and women aren't getting along. And I remember my dad used to say that, men and women aren't getting along, that there will be more motherless women in the future. And I don't know, maybe we're kind of like at the catalyst of that is with the men and women not just getting along. But that's a whole nother deeper conversation. But and I'm hoping that his coaches and he have the right people around him, because a lot of times that also seems to be an issue with Black males, I find, especially the younger ones. They don't have the right people surrounding them. And hopefully his coaches isn't patronizing him. Because I find that when we're in certain environments, instead of being direct and straightforward and being honest and genuine, we tend to get patronized, and that's not good for us. So I'll talk a little bit more about that and make kind of more videos and show examples of that. So in the meantime, but again, congratulations to the Detroit Lions. You've made it to the playoffs. Let's see where you take it from there. Quay, I'm sure you've, learned from this experience. Take that experience and, move forward with it. But also don't forget it to where, where you make the same mistakes over and over. We're going to make mistakes, but that just takes growth. And I'm sure he'll grow from that. So good luck to all of them. And thank you for joining in to Bites and Cents. Stay seated. I'll see you in the next video. And have a blessed week.